I knew something was wrong before I even parked. My headlights swept across the driveway and caught a pale scatter of things that didn't belong outdoors: cardboard, fabric, frames glinting like broken ice. For a second, my brain tried to label it as trash pickup, a neighbor's mess, anything normal. Then I recognized my own coat, then my own photo albums, then the corner of a box with my handwriting on it. I pulled in slowly, like speed could make it worse, and killed the engine. The night was too quiet for what I was looking at. A porch light across the street clicked on, and I saw a shadow behind a curtain. Someone was watching without stepping out. They always watch when it isn't their problem. My suitcase sat in the passenger seat, still tagged from the airport. I'd been gone 4 days for work, living out of a hotel room and bad coffee, and counting down the hours until I could sleep in my own bed. Now my life was in piles on the lawn like someone had tried to erase me. I got out and walked toward the mess with careful steps, as if I might step on something sharp or sacred. A framed photo of Grandpa was face down in the grass. The glass wasn't broken, but the frame was warped like it had been stomped on. The front door looked wrong. Not open. Not kicked in. Wounded. The lock was half torn, the metal plate around it bent and scratched, as if a tool had been jammed in and twisted until someone gave up. Deep gouges ran along the doorframe. And at the edge of the jam, thin splinters of wood clung like a shredded warning. Someone tried to change the lock. Someone tried to force my house to stop being mine. I set my suitcase down and reached for my keys, that hand steady in a way that felt almost unnatural. I slid the right key into the lock. It turned. Barely. The door opened a few inches with a reluctant creak. Cold air breathed out at me, stale and wrong, as if the house had been holding its breath since the moment it was attacked. I didn't step in immediately. I stood in the doorway, listening. No footsteps, no movement, no television playing in the distance. Just the soft buzz of my porch light and the distant whoosh of a passing car, slowing slightly because people always slow when they think they might get a show. I took one step inside, then another. The entry rug was flipped. One of my shoes, just one, sat in the center of the hallway like a marker. The coat hooks by the door were empty, torn screws visible in the drywall. My stomach tightened, but I didn't let it turn into noise. Noise is what they want. I walked toward the living room. The first drawer of my side table was yanked out and dumped. Receipts, pens, old mail, a half-used roll of tape. Nothing valuable, nothing that would make sense for a thief. This wasn't theft. This was revenge. The cabinet doors under my TV were open, hanging crooked. Books were thrown from the shelves. The little ceramic bowl I used for spare keys was shattered on the floor, pieces spread out like someone kicked it hard enough to enjoy the sound. My bedroom was worse. The comforter was ripped off the bed and shoved into a corner. My dresser drawers were pulled out and dumped. The mattress was tilted like someone had tried to lift it and got angry at the weight. The closet door hung half off its track. Every private thing I owned had been handled by someone who hated me. My throat went tight, and for the first time, I tasted panic. Metallic and bitter. I didn't let it out. I took my phone from my pocket and started recording, slowly panning the room, door damage, drawers, the floor, the closet. Then I moved back into the hallway, filming the lock and the splintered frame. Because if this became a story, it would be my story, not theirs. I walked into the kitchen and stopped. My kitchen drawers were open too, but one was different. The one where Grandpa used to keep his old tools when he was still alive, back when he'd shuffle around in his house shoes and pretend he didn't see me watching. That drawer wasn't just open, it was emptied with care. The tool tray was gone, and I knew with a sick, cold certainty that whoever did this wasn't looking for money. They were looking for something Grandpa left behind, something they believed was theirs. I pulled my phone away from my face and stared at the empty drawer. My sister's voice flashed in my head like a bruise. "You don't deserve this place. You always get everything. Grandpa only chose you because you were his little favorite." She'd said it the last time we spoke weeks ago when I told her no. No, she couldn't stay here for a while. No, she couldn't store some things. No, she couldn't have a key just in case. she'd laughed like it was funny. Then she'd gone quiet, like she was taking inventory of my weak spots. I didn't know she did this. Not yet. But my body did. My gut did. That feeling in my stomach wasn't fear of a stranger, it was recognition. I walked to the sink and turned on the water, not because I needed it, because I needed a normal sound to anchor me. My hands were cold. My breathing was tight. I stared at the stream until my thoughts stopped scattering. Then I remembered something Grandpa used to say about this house. Not often, not casually. Only when my sister was nearby and he didn't want to argue with her directly. He'd look at me over his newspaper and say, like it was nothing, "Some things are here for a reason." The first time he said it, I'd laughed. Like what? The ugly wallpaper? He didn't laugh back. He tapped the side of his nose, slow, and said, "Don't touch the utility closet. Not that one. Promise me." I'd promised because he was old and stubborn and he said it like it mattered. After he died, the house became mine through probate. Clean, legal, final. My sister tried to challenge it. She didn't win. She didn't even come close. But she never stopped acting like I stole something that belonged to her. I shut off the faucet and walked toward the hallway at the back of the house. The one most people barely notice. The one that smells faintly like dust and old paint. The utility closet door was there, exactly where it always was. I stood in front of it for a long moment. A ridiculous thought passed through my mind. What if Grandpa's warning was just an old man being old? Then I looked back at my destroyed bedroom, the half-torn lock, my belongings dumped like garbage. And I realized this wasn't a random break-in, this was targeted. I opened the closet door. It was dark inside, packed with old supplies, paint cans, a toolbox, a stack of yellowed manuals for appliances that weren't even here anymore. I crouched and pushed a hand behind the lowest shelf. It's the feeling for the spot Grandpa once pressed his fingers. There. A loose panel. My breath caught, controlled, but sharp. I slid my fingers into the gap and pulled. The panel shifted with a soft crack of old wood. Behind it was a small metal box and a tangle of wires that didn't belong in a normal utility closet. And in the darkness, a tiny LED blinked. Red, steady, alive, a DVR. I stared at it, my throat suddenly too tight. I hadn't thought about cameras in years. Grandpa never talked about them openly. He just watched people the way old men do. Quietly, carefully, like he was always learning something. My hand stayed steady as I reached in, found the power button, and pressed it. The monitor attached to the DVR flickered. A grid of feeds appeared. Hallway, living room, kitchen, front porch, side window. Each one stamped with a date and time. Each one proof that Grandpa hadn't been paranoid. He'd been prepared. I scrolled back to yesterday afternoon, the moment my lock was scratched, the moment my door shook. I pressed play. The porch camera showed a figure approaching, hood up, head down, moving with fast confidence. They glanced at the street, then at the neighbor's window, then leaned close to my lock with a tool. The camera caught the angle of their jaw, the way they held their shoulders. My stomach turned cold. The person tried the lock, failed, tried again, then, like they were done pretending, reached into their pocket and pulled out a key. A key I never gave anyone. The door opened. The figure stepped inside. Then, as if they couldn't stand the heat of their own disguise, they pulled the hood back. The DVR feed froze for a split second. Buffering, and glitching, then snapped into focus. And the screen held on one face. My sister's. I didn't move for a full second after I saw her face on that screen. Not because I was surprised, because my body was trying to decide whether to shake, scream, or go numb. I chose the fourth option. I documented. I hit pause, then rewound 10 seconds. I played it again, slower this time, watching the exact moment my sister pulled the hood back like she was proud of what she was about to do. Then I reached behind the DVR and found the ports Grandpa had hidden as neatly as everything else he did. USB, HDMI, a tiny slot for an SD card. This wasn't some cheap toy, this was a system, a plan. I pulled my laptop out of my work bag right there on the hallway floor, connected it, and copied the footage to two places: a folder on my hard drive and a cloud upload that started spinning immediately. Then I opened my phone and recorded the monitor with the timestamp visible. Because I've learned the hard way that people will call anything edited if you only show them a file. You show them the screen, you show them the time, you show them the moment. My hand stayed steady through all of it. My throat didn't. When the upload bar hit halfway, I rewound to the point where she entered the house. She didn't just unlock the door, she unlocked it like she owned it. No hesitation. No checking over her shoulder except once. One quick glance at the neighbor's window, like she already knew no one would stop her. Inside, the camera angle shifted as she moved through rooms. The living room feed showed her stepping into frame, looking around, then smiling in a way that made my stomach turn. Like she was finally alone with something she thought she deserved. She walked straight to the hallway closet first. Not my bedroom. Not the kitchen. The hallway closet? Like she was searching for a known target. She yanked it open, pushed aside cleaning supplies, and cursed under her breath when she didn't find what she wanted. Then she moved into the kitchen. She opened the drawer Grandpa used to keep tools in. She didn't fumble. She didn't explore. She reached in and pulled out the empty space like she expected it to be there. When she realized it had already been cleared out, she slammed the drawer so hard the camera shook slightly. Then she did something worse. She took out her phone and started taking pictures. Slow, deliberate photos of the interior, kitchen counters, living room corners, hallway angles, like she was documenting the house for someone else. Not revenge. Preparation. My skin went cold. I rewound again and watched her move toward the utility hallway. For a moment, I thought she was going to find the closet, the one Grandpa told me never to touch. But she stopped short, stared at the door like it offended her, then walked away. She didn't know. She tore apart my life while the cameras watched her do it, and she didn't know. I let the footage keep running until I saw the moment she dragged my boxes outside. She didn't carry them like heavy things. She threw them. She dumped my clothes into the grass like she was cleaning out a stranger's closet. She dropped my photo albums like they were worthless. She tossed a framed picture of Grandpa and looked down at it for a second with a blank expression before stepping over it. Then she returned inside, went back to my bedroom, and flipped my mattress. Not looking for jewelry, not looking for cash, looking for documents. And when she didn't find what she wanted, her rage became theatrical. She ripped drawers out, scattered papers, left cabinet doors open like mouths that couldn't close. Then, in the living room feed, she stood in the center of the room and said something out loud. The DVR had audio. Not perfect, but clear enough. "I'm not losing to her," she said, voice sharp and breathless. "Not again." Then she laughed, a short, bitter sound. And then she said the sentence that snapped the whole thing into a new shape. "Tomorrow it's done." Tomorrow. I checked the timestamp. Yesterday. Oh, my stomach tightened so hard it felt like pressure behind my ribs. She wasn't just punishing me for saying no to a key, she was racing a deadline. I stopped the playback and stood up slowly because my legs suddenly remembered they were attached to me. The house was still ruined. My stuff was still outside. My lock was still wounded. But now I had something more important than anger. I had a timeline. I walked to the front door and locked it, then slid the deadbolt, then leaned my weight against it for a second, just to feel it hold. Then I did two things immediately. I called a locksmith, and I called the police. Not 911, not frantic. The non-emergency line, calm voice, controlled request. "I need an officer," I said. My home was unlawfully entered, vandalized, and my belongings were dumped outside. I have surveillance footage identifying the person. The dispatcher asked the question they always ask. "Is the suspect still on scene?" "No," I replied. "But she has access to a key, and she threatened further action on video." That part got her attention. An officer will be dispatched, she said. While I waited, the locksmith arrived first, an older man with tired eyes and a tool bag that looked heavier than my suitcase. He didn't ask for drama. He asked for the door. When he saw the gouges around the lock, he whistled once, low. Someone tried to force this, he said. Yes, I replied. Then they used a key. He glanced at me. You want it ricade or replaced? Replaced, I said. And add a high-security deadbolt. He nodded like he approved my tone. While he worked, metal clicking and drilling in steady rhythms, I kept my phone recording short clips of the damaged frame and the lock removal. Not because it was interesting, because it was proof. The police arrived just after the locksmith finished tightening the final screws. A patrol officer and his partner stepped onto my porch. Calm posture, hands visible, eyes scanning the yard where my belongings sat in heaps. The older one introduced himself. Officer Gentry. I nodded. I'm Jade Mercer, I said. This is my house. I've been away on a work trip. He looked at the lawn, then at the damaged frame, then back at me. Who did this? I didn't know, I said, until I checked the cameras. His eyebrows lifted slightly. You have cameras. My grandfather installed them, I replied. I found the DVR tonight. It recorded everything. That changed his posture in a subtle way, less casual and more procedural. Can you show me? He asked. I led them inside, careful not to step on broken ceramic, and took them to the utility closet. When the blinking light came into view, Officer Gentry's partner leaned in like she was trying to confirm it wasn't a trick. I pulled up the porch camera clip first. The hooded figure, the tool in hand, then the key, then the hood pulled back. My sister's face. Officer Gentry didn't react with a gasp or a curse. He reacted with stillness, the kind of stillness that means, okay, now we have a case. Is that your sister? He asked. Yes, I said. What's her name? He asked. Marina, I replied. He nodded and took notes. And she has a key. I never gave her one, I said, but she used one. Officer Gentry looked up. Do you know how she got it? I didn't guess. I gave the only honest answer. I don't know, I said. Yet. His partner asked, has she threatened you before? I thought about all the times Marina had said things just quiet enough to deny them later. I chose the cleanest truth. She's been trying to get control of this house since my grandfather left it to me, I said. She's angry, and she escalates when she doesn't get what she wants. Officer Gentry's pen paused. Your grandfather left you the house. Yes. That mattered to them. Ownership, motive, intent. He looked at the screen again, then asked, do you have the clip where she says tomorrow? I rewound and played it. My sister's voice came through the tinny DVR speaker, sharp and confident. Tomorrow it's done. Officer Gentry's partner frowned. Tomorrow what? I didn't answer with emotion. I answered with fear that had turned into logic. I don't know, I said. But she's doing something with paperwork. She was taking photos of the interior. She was searching drawers like she wanted documents. And she said it like a deadline. Officer Gentry's jaw tightened slightly. He glanced at his partner, then back at me. Ms. Mercer, he said, I'm going to file this as unlawful entry, criminal mischief, and burglary, because she entered with a key you didn't give, and she damaged property and went through your belongings. My throat tightened again, but my voice stayed steady. I want charges, I said. He nodded once. Okay. His partner looked at the closet panel and the DVR. We need a copy of that footage, she said. I already backed it up, I replied, and I showed them the cloud upload progress, now complete. Officer Gentry handed me a card with a report number. A detective may follow up, he said. Given the family angle, people try to talk victims out of pushing it. Don't let them. I won't, I said. Then he asked a question that made the hair on my arms rise. "Does your sister have anyone with her?" he asked. "A boyfriend. A friend. Anyone who might show up tomorrow." I stared at the DVR screen again, thinking about the way Marina took photos like she was creating a listing. Then I remembered something I hadn't noticed the first time because I was focused on her face. In the porch camera clip, right before she unlocked the door, she lifted her phone and spoke into it. Quiet, close to the microphone. I rewound to that moment and turned the volume up. Her voice was clear there, outside. "Yeah," she said. "I'm inside now. Tell him tomorrow at 10. Bring the forms." Officer Gentry's eyes narrowed. "Tell who?" I watched the clip again, and this time I saw the detail I'd missed. The contact name on her screen flashed for a split second as she ended the call. Not a full name, just one word. Escrow. My stomach turned cold. Because tomorrow at 10 wasn't a threat. It was an appointment. I didn't text Marina, I didn't call her, I didn't warn her that I had her face on camera, her voice on audio, her word escrow flashing like a confession. Because the moment you alert someone like my sister, they don't stop. They pivot. They delete. They rewrite. They show up with a new story and a new witness. So I stayed quiet and moved where she couldn't argue, into systems that don't care about family drama. That night, after the officers left, I made myself do 3 boring, brutal things. I walked room to room and photographed everything she destroyed. I wrote a list of what was missing, and I checked my safe. The safe was still bolted to the closet floor, but the folder inside, the one with my property deed copies, my title policy, Grandpa's probate letters, was disturbed. Pages out of order. Tabs bent. The kind of disturbance that means someone didn't just rummage. They searched with intention, and one document was gone. A certified copy of the last probate order naming me as personal representative. My stomach turned cold. Because that was the document that lets you speak to banks, speak to insurers, speak to the county like you're not just a relative. It was power. On paper. And Marina didn't steal my clothes to hurt my feelings. She stole that paper to move the house. I barely slept. When I did, and it was in short, shallow drops, like my body didn't trust the dark anymore. At 7:30 the next morning, I was at the county recorder's office with my report number in my hand and my laptop in my bag. The waiting room was already full. People held marriage licenses and contractor liens and stacks of tax notices. A mother bounced a baby on her knee. A man in a work vest stared at the floor like it owed him money. No one looked at me. No one knew my house had been violated. That anonymity was a gift. When my number was called, I stepped to the counter and slid my ID forward. "I need the full parcel history for my address," I said. "And I need to place a fraud alert. I have a police report. I have surveillance footage identifying the person who entered." The clerk, woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and a tired mouth, typed my address, and her fingers paused. Then she leaned closer to her screen, and something subtle changed in her expression. Not shock. Recognition. "Okay," she said quietly. "I see your property." I kept my voice calm. "Can you tell me if anything was recorded recently?" She clicked into the document list. "Yesterday," she said. My chest tightened. "What was recorded yesterday?" She didn't answer immediately. She clicked again, deeper, slower, like she wanted to be sure before she said it out loud. Then she looked up at me. "2 documents," she said. "One is a change of mailing address request for the tax statements." My throat tightened. "To where?" The clerk read it. "To a different address." I already knew whose. "Okay," I said. "What's the second?" She swallowed once, then said it. "A power of attorney." The room didn't spin. My vision didn't blur. I just felt the air get thinner. "A power of attorney for what?" I asked. The clerk clicked and rotated her monitor slightly, enough for me to see without her fully showing it. "Durable power of attorney principal, Jade Mercer. Agent, Marina Mercer." My sister. My throat tightened so hard it hurt. It says I signed this, I said, voice flat. The clerk nodded once. It says you granted your sister authority to handle real estate transactions on your behalf. Real estate transactions. The words landed like a door slamming. The clerk kept going, reading like she was documenting a storm. It also includes a statement that you are unable to manage your affairs at times, and that this POA is effective immediately. I felt something cold move behind my ribs. Because Marina didn't just want the house, she wanted my credibility. She wanted a document that made it sound reasonable when I screamed. She's confused. She's unstable. She signed it and forgot. I steadied my hands on the counter. When was it recorded? The clerk read the timestamp. Yesterday at 9:12 a.m. 9:12? I was still in a hotel yesterday morning, packing my laptop, checking out, flying home. While I was in the air, my sister was building a legal puppet version of me. I swallowed once. Who submitted it? The clerk clicked a metadata tab and her mouth tightened. Submitting party is listed as Baycrest Escrow Services, she said. Method, e-recording. There it was again. Escrow wasn't a contact name on a phone. Escrow was a pipeline. I kept my voice controlled. Is there anything pending to record? The clerk clicked into a queue view. Her eyes narrowed. She scrolled. And then she stopped. And she didn't speak for a moment, which told me everything before she said a word. There's an additional package, she said finally. It's in the pending queue. My chest tightened. What kind of package? She looked up at me, careful. A quitclaim deed, she said. From you? To your sister. My throat went dry. And it's scheduled, she added, voice lower, to finalize at 10 a.m. today, pending the last verification. Today? Not tomorrow. My hands went colder. My mouth stayed calm. 10 a.m., I repeated. Yes, she said. It was submitted late last night. It's tagged as urgent and references the POA as authority. That's what Marina meant when she said, tomorrow, it's done. Tomorrow was her closing, her meeting, her celebration. But the recording, the legal switch, was set for this morning. I checked the wall clock behind the clerk. 9:41. 19 minutes. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't plead. I didn't perform. I did what Grandpa taught me without ever saying it directly. I forced the moment into a record. I need to place an emergency fraud alert on the parcel, I said. Right now. And I need to submit a sworn statement that this POA is forged. I have a police report number. I have surveillance footage. And I need a recording hold. The clerk's eyes moved over my face like she was deciding whether I was real. Then she nodded once. Fill this out, she said, sliding a form toward me. Property fraud alert. And you'll need an affidavit of forgery. But a recording hold usually requires court order unless law enforcement requests an emergency pause. I can get law enforcement, I said. The clerk's gaze sharpened. Do it now. I stepped to the side, pulled out Officer Gentry's card, and called the number. He answered on the second ring, voice alert. Gentry. This is Jade Mercer, I said. I need you to connect me to a detective or supervisor now. My county recorder shows a forged POA recorded yesterday, and a quitclaim deed is pending to record at 10 a.m. today using that POA. A pause, short, tight. Stay there, he said. Don't hang up. I didn't. I watched the clerk's screen out of the corner of my eye as she kept scrolling, printing, annotating. She wasn't being nice. She was being correct. The phone clicked, and a new voice came on, lower, older, sharper. Detective Landon, he said. Property crimes. Tell me. I told him in clean, fast facts. Break-in on camera, sister identified, key used, damage, missing probate papers, escrow call. Now a recorded POA and a pending deed package. Detective Landon didn't react with surprise. He reacted with urgency. Ms. Mercer, he said, I need you to email the footage immediately to this address. And I need the recorder clerk to print the pending package receipt and the e-recording transaction ID. The clerk overheard and nodded once, as if she'd been waiting for that instruction. Then Detective Landon said the sentence that turned my stomach into stone. And if your sister forged a POA to transfer real estate, that's a felony. If a notary is involved, that's another felony. If an escrow platform submitted it knowingly, that becomes conspiracy. I kept my voice steady. Can you stop the recording at 10? We can request an emergency pause, he said. But you need to understand something. These filings move like a conveyor belt. We have minutes. My eyes went back to the clock. 9:46? 14 minutes. The clerk slid a printed sheet across to me, the pending transaction summary. It listed the submission time, the transaction ID, and the authorizing document. Authority. Durable power of attorney recorded 9:12 a.m. yesterday. I felt my throat tighten, then settle into something colder. Detective, I said, my sister said on video, tomorrow it's done. She thought I wouldn't find this until it was recorded. There was a brief silence on the line, then Detective Landon's voice sharpened. Listen carefully, he said. Do not contact your sister. We are going to move on her at the point of execution, escrow, because that's where the paperwork, the notary, and her device will be. That's where we can tie intent. My stomach tightened. You want me to go there? I want you available, he said, but I also want you safe. We'll coordinate. The clerk leaned closer to me and whispered, if law enforcement requests it, I can flag this as disputed and pause indexing temporarily. I nodded once. Please do. She started typing fast. 9:51. My phone buzzed. A text from Marina. Are you home yet? My skin went cold. Another text, seconds later. Don't mess this up for yourself. My throat tightened. Not with fear, with certainty. She knew the 10 a.m. clock was running, and she was checking whether I was in position to stop it. At 9:53, the recorder clerk slid the fraud alert form back to me with her stamp on it and a look that said she understood the stakes without needing the story. I flagged the pending package as disputed, she said quietly. Aye, that buys you minutes, not immunity. Minutes was all I needed. I stepped to the sidewall, opened my laptop, and hit send on the email Detective Landon gave me. I attached 3 files. The porch camera clip showing Marina's face, the audio clip where she said, tomorrow, it's done, and the screen recording where her phone flashed escrow. Then I forwarded the recorder's pending transaction summary and the recorded POA index page. The upload wheel spun for a second. Then, sent. My phone buzzed again. Marina, are you there yet? I didn't answer. I took a screenshot and added it to the same email thread. Because the difference between a suspicion and intent is usually one stupid message. Detective Landon was still on the line. I could hear him typing, fast, clipped, like he was building probable cause in real time. Ms. Mercer, he said, I'm dispatching 2 units to Baycrest Escrow. I'm also calling the e-recording platform compliance desk to request an emergency pause under fraud investigation. Will they do it? I asked. They'll do it if we give them a report number and a supervisor request, he said. And you already have both. The clerk leaned over the counter slightly. Tell him the package is in the queue under transaction ID, she said, and rattled off the numbers like she'd read them 1,000 times. I repeated them into the phone. Landon didn't thank me with emotion. He thanked me with action. Good, he said. Now listen carefully. I need you to go to Baycrest Escrow. My stomach tightened. Right now. Right now, he confirmed. Do not walk in alone. Do not announce yourself. Park across the street. Keep your phone on. If you see your sister, do not approach. We want her in the act. Device, documents, notary, escrow instructions. That's how we make it stick. My throat tightened as the truth of it hit me. They weren't just trying to stop the deed. They were trying to lock the door behind her. Okay, I said. I grabbed my folder, fraud alert stamp, certified parcel history, pending package summary, and walked out of the recorder's office without looking back. In the parking lot, I checked the time. 9:58. 2 minutes. I drove like the speed limit was a suggestion and every red light was a negotiation. No swerving, no panic. Just clean, determined movement. Baycrest Escrow sat in a low, beige office building downtown, the kind with tinted windows and neutral landscaping designed to look forgettable, a place where big decisions happen quietly and no one wants attention. Perfect for someone like Marina. I parked across the street behind a row of cars and killed my engine. Then I waited. My hands were cold on the steering wheel. My breathing stayed controlled. I watched the glass doors like they were a stage. At 10:01, a silver SUV pulled into the lot. Marina stepped out. Not rushed, not nervous. Dressed like she was going to a meeting where she expected to win. Blazer, sunglasses, a slim folder tucked under her arm like a menu at an expensive restaurant. She didn't look at my house. She didn't look over her shoulder. She looked straight at the door and walked in like she belonged there. My stomach tightened hard, but I didn't move. Because if I walked in, she'd pivot into a performance. She'd turn into the victim. She'd claim I was harassing her. So I stayed in the car and let the system approach her first. At 10:03, 2 unmarked cars rolled into the lot with the quiet confidence of people who don't need sirens to be obeyed. Detective Landon stepped out of the first one. I recognized him immediately. Same voice, same posture. He scanned the building, saw my car across the street, and lifted a hand slightly in a small stay gesture. Then he walked inside. I watched through the tinted glass as shapes moved in the lobby. A receptionist turning her head. A man in a tie stepping out of an interior office. Marina's silhouette shifting, too sharp to be casual. My phone buzzed. A new text from Marina. "Oh, don't be stupid. It's already signed. Already signed. Not recorded." That distinction mattered. I screenshot it and sent it to Landon immediately. 10:06. The front doors opened. Hi Marina stepped out. And for the first time since I'd seen her face on the DVR, she didn't look confident. She looked tight, angry, contained. Behind her, Detective Landon walked with a man in a gray suit, escrow officer, who looked pale and confused, like he'd just realized he was holding a live wire. Landon didn't grab Marina. He didn't touch her. He simply walked close enough to control the space. Marina turned, saw the unmarked cars, and her face rearranged into indignation. Then she spotted my car across the street. Her head snapped toward me like a magnet, and I watched her decide in real time whether to come at me. She started to move. Landon stepped into her path without raising his voice. "Marina Mercer," he said. Her chin lifted. "Yes," she snapped. "And who are you?" "Detective Landon," he said, showing his badge. Property crimes." Marina laughed sharply. "This is a family matter." "It stopped being a family matter when you recorded a forged power of attorney and submitted a deed package for e-recording," Landon replied. Her eyes flashed. "I have authority," she said quickly. "She gave it to me." Landon's expression didn't change. "Not on video she didn't," he said. The escrow officer looked between them like he wanted to disappear. Landon turned slightly and spoke to him, not Marina. "Sir," he said, "I need the transaction file. Now, the intake forms, the ID verification, the notary certificate, and all communications." The escrow officer swallowed. We can pull it up," he stammered. "But we followed procedure. We had a recorded POA. And now you have an active fraud case," Landon said. "So you're going to preserve everything." Marina's voice rose. "This is harassment. She's unstable. Landon cut her off with one calm sentence. "Your phone," he said. "Hand it to me." Marina blinked hard. "No." Landon didn't move. "If you refuse, I'll seek a warrant, and I'll include obstruction. Your choice." Marina's fingers tightened around her folder. Then she did what she always did when she sensed the system might actually work. She tried to weaponize the crowd. She turned her voice outward toward the sidewalk, toward passing cars. "This is my sister," she called, loud and performative. "She's trying to ruin me because Grandpa left her everything." A man walking past slowed. A woman at the corner glanced over. Marina wanted witnesses. Landon didn't care. He nodded once to the two plainclothes officers behind him. "I detain her," he said. The officers stepped in smoothly, taking her arms. Firm, controlled, no drama. Marina jerked. "Don't touch me." Landon's voice stayed even. "You're being detained for investigation of forgery, filing a false instrument, and attempted fraudulent conveyance." Marina's face went pale, just for a second, before anger rushed back in. "This is insane," she hissed. "It's already done." Landon looked at her sharply. "What's already done?" Marina's mouth curled into a small, ugly smile. "The deed," she said. "It's already recorded. I watched them submit it." My stomach dropped. Because if she was telling the truth, the 10 a.m. conveyor belt had already moved past the point of stopping. Landon didn't react emotionally. He reacted like a man who's learned not to trust the person caught in the act. He pulled out his phone and called someone immediately. I could only hear fragments from across the street, but I saw his posture change when the answer came through. He listened. He looked at Marina again. Then he spoke, loud enough for her to hear. "No," he said. "It wasn't recorded." Marina's smile faltered. Landon kept going. "The recorder flagged it as disputed. The e-recording platform placed an emergency compliance hold. Your package is frozen." For the first time all day, Marina looked genuinely scared. Because in her mind, the deed was the finish line, and Landon had just told her she was still standing in the middle of the track, caught, documented, and surrounded. But Marina didn't collapse. She did something worse. Her eyes flicked to me across the street, sharp and hateful. And then she leaned toward Landon and said, low enough that most people wouldn't hear, but loud enough that I did. "Fine," she whispered. "Then I'll tell you what you really need to know." Landon's eyes narrowed. "What?" Marina's lips trembled with rage and satisfaction at the same time. "The cameras," she said. "Grandpa's cameras. Ask her where they are." My stomach went cold. Because she wasn't guessing. She knew there was something else in this house, something Grandpa hid for a reason, and she was about to use it as leverage to destroy me. Detective Landon didn't look at me when Marina said it. He looked at her like she'd just admitted the part she thought was a threat. "Grandpa's cameras," he repeated, calm. "Why are you bringing that up?" Marina's mouth tightened. Her eyes flicked toward me across the street, then back to him. "Because she's hiding something," she said. "He had cameras all over that house. He recorded people. Without consent." Landon's expression didn't change. "It's her residence," he said. "Private security cameras are not a crime." Marina laughed sharply. "Not when you're spying on family." Landon stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You want to talk about family," he said. "Or you want to talk about the forged power of attorney you recorded yesterday?" Marina's jaw tightened. She pivoted immediately, trying a new angle. "She wasn't even there," she snapped. "She was out of town. She doesn't know what she's talking about." Landon didn't bite. "Actually," he said evenly, "we have your face on a porch camera unlocking her door with a key. We have you on audio saying, 'Tomorrow, it's done.' We have you in messages coordinating a 10 a.m. recording. And we have an escrow officer telling us you presented a power of attorney as authority to transfer her property." Marina's eyes flared with rage. "It was my house too," she hissed. "Grandpa only gave it to her because she played the sweet one." "That's not how title works," Landon said. Then he did the thing people like Marina never expect. He refused to debate reality. He turned to the escrow officer again. "I need the transaction file printed and exported," he said. "Now, I need the ID verification documents used. I need the notary certificate, I need the audit log showing who uploaded the POA and who initiated the recording request. The escrow officer nodded too fast. Yes. Yes, detective. Marina tried to lunge verbally back into the spotlight. You can't take my phone, she snapped. You don't have a warrant. Landon held his hand out again, steady. You can hand it over voluntarily, he said. Or I can seize it incident to detention and seek a warrant for the contents, but either way, that device is evidence. Marina's breath hitched. She realized she'd been texting and calling like those words wouldn't become a trail. Her fingers tightened around the phone once more. Then she shoved it into her blazer pocket like that would protect her. Landon nodded to the officers. They patted her down, removed the phone, and placed it in an evidence bag without ceremony. Marina's face twisted. This is because she's jealous, she spat, voice rising again for the sidewalk. She's always been jealous of me? Landon didn't even glance at the bystanders. He looked straight at Marina and said, the clear and final, you are under arrest. The words landed on her like a drop. For half a second, she didn't understand. Then her posture cracked. For what? She demanded, voice suddenly smaller. Landon's tone stayed procedural. Forgery, filing a false instrument, attempted fraudulent conveyance, burglary, and criminal mischief for the damage and removal of property from her home. Marina's eyes widened. Burglary? I had a key. That makes it worse, Landon said. You entered without permission with intent to commit a crime. Her mouth opened, then closed. Her gaze snapped to me again, desperate now. Like she expected me to step out and fix it. I stayed in the car. I stayed behind glass. Because the second I stepped into her orbit, she'd try to turn this back into a family argument. And I wasn't giving her that oxygen. And they guided her toward the unmarked car. Marina twisted her shoulders, trying to look dignified, while her wrists were being positioned behind her back. Tell her to stop, she snapped at Landon. Tell her to drop it. Landon didn't look at me. It's not her anymore, he said. It's the state. Marina went pale at that, because the state doesn't negotiate with tears. A few minutes later, Landon walked across the street to my car. He didn't ask me to come closer. He didn't invite drama. He spoke through my cracked window. Ms. Mercer, he said, the recorder hold is in place. The deed package is frozen. Your sister's phone and the escrow file are being seized as evidence. I nodded once, hands steady on the steering wheel. Thank you. He studied me for a beat. She mentioned cameras, he said. Do you have them? I do, I replied. My grandfather installed a DVR system. I found it last night. It recorded her entry and her statements. Landon nodded. We're going to need that DVR, he said. We'll do it properly, chain of custody. If it has audio and timestamps, it will support intent. I already backed it up, I said. 2 copies. That was smart, he replied, and his tone held something like approval. Do not post it. Do not send it to family. Keep it clean. I will, I said. Then he added, we also have enough for a search warrant. My throat tightened. For what? For her residence and devices, he said. And for whoever notarized or processed that POA package. The escrow audit log will tell us who uploaded what. If a notary or platform agent helped knowingly, they're in it. I felt my stomach settle into something colder and steadier. Because Marina hadn't just trashed my house. She'd tried to steal it with paperwork. And now the paperwork was turning into handcuffs. That afternoon, I met Landon at my house with a uniformed officer present. We didn't walk through rooms like victims. We walked through them like a crime scene. He photographed the damaged lock and frame. He tagged the broken cabinet. He documented the contents dumped outside. He recorded the DVR screen as it played Marina's face, her voice, and her casual confidence with the key. Then he removed the DVR carefully, sealed it, and handed me a receipt. This is evidence, he said. You'll get it back later. I nodded. As long as it stays safe. It will, he said. Before he left, he handed me something else: a temporary protective order request form and a contact number for the on-call prosecutor. He'll file for an emergency no-contact order tonight, he told me. We're pushing for conditions at arraignment, but you protect yourself in every lane. I will, I said. And I did. The next morning, I sat in the back of a courtroom while the judge reviewed the charges. Marina stood at the front in a wrinkled holding shirt, eyes hard, trying to look like the victim of a misunderstanding. The prosecutor didn't treat it like a misunderstanding. He listed it cleanly: a recorded power of attorney that I did not sign, a pending deed package attempting to transfer my property, a break-in captured on video, a key used without permission, a documented plan, time, appointment, forms. When the judge asked Marina's attorney for a statement, he tried the same old song: family conflict, emotions, regret. She didn't mean. The judge cut him off. Family does not excuse fraud, she said, and burglary is not a misunderstanding. Then she set strict conditions: no contact, stay away from my home, surrender of any keys or copies, and a prohibition against filing anything affecting my property without court review. Marina tried to speak out of turn. The judge didn't let her, and the prosecutor asked for something my sister clearly hadn't expected: remand. Not forever, just long enough to stop her from touching anything else while warrants executed. The judge agreed. Marina was taken back in custody that day. Weeks later, the case didn't fade. It grew. The escrow audit log showed the POA file was uploaded from Marina's device. The recorder submission was initiated from her account. The forms she referenced in her call were found in her apartment during the warrant search: blank deed templates, printed county instructions, and a folder labeled with my address. The locksmith angle broke too. Security footage from a hardware store showed Marina copying a key weeks earlier, right after a family gathering at my house. And once the state had all that, there was no "she forgot" defense left. Marina took a plea, not because she suddenly developed a conscience, because the video existed, the timestamps existed, and the paper trail existed. She was convicted of felony forgery and filing a false instrument, plus burglary and criminal mischief. She was sentenced to county jail time, followed by probation, and ordered to pay restitution for the damage and the cost of securing my home. And the court also issued a long-term no-contact order. She couldn't talk it out. She couldn't show up. If she tried, she'd go back inside. And the house? It stayed mine, not emotionally, legally. A month after the worst night of my life, my home didn't look the same, but it felt safer than it ever had. New locks, new security, new boundaries that weren't negotiable because they weren't mine alone anymore. They were backed by court orders. I framed one photo that survived the lawn: Grandpa smiling in his old chair, and I hung it by the entryway where my sister tried to turn my life into a spectacle. Every time I pass it, I hear his voice again. Some things are here for a reason. If your sibling trashed your home and tried to steal it with paperwork, would you forgive them? Or would you let felony charges stand so they never try it again? Tell me in the comments, and if you want more stories like this, hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.